Hi everyone, welcome to DSDB class 17663. This is a continuation of module 5 design methodology. In the last class we started lecture number 3 design for test DFT. In that we started with a subtopic like we named it as a lecture number 3A, that was fault models and fault simulation. In the fault models and fault simulation we used combinational circuits. Why? That is one of the technique to detect the faults in the circuit. Okay, once the IC has been manufactured, we need to test the ICs. Okay, before sending to packaging we need to test the ICs. So in order to save the time and save the cost, we used one of the method called fault models and fault simulation. That fault models and fault simulation, in that method we were generating test patterns, means combinations of inputs, and we are finding whether the output is correct or not. Okay, we used combinational circuits in that. But for what about registers? Okay, can this fault models and fault simulation method can be used to detect the fault in the registers? Okay, we'll see what about this. Okay, um, and this is I welcome you all to the lecture number 3B. This is another subtopic of design for test. This in this the next fault detection method we are going to study is scan design and boundary scan. Scan design and boundary scan are the two another other way of detecting the fault. Okay, when we talked about detection of faults in the combinational circuits, then what about the register circuits, registers? Okay, then the fault model and fault simulation method is not that much efficient to detect the faults in this one. So so it becomes difficult to um, detect the faults in the register circuits. Okay, so there is another, the reason is the main features called the controllability and observability will become somewhat difficult. Okay, for that there is another approach to detect the fault, that is called scan design technique. Okay, scan design technique is used to detect the fault in the registers. Okay, why we were studying scan design, we'll see. The fault models and detection techniques works well for combinational circuits, but are difficult to adapt to detect faults in registers and in other storage elements in memory elements. Okay, this problem is not only for simple circuit faults, for also large circuits. Okay, when the circuit is large, the use of fault detection method using fault models and fault simulation for registers in a larger circuit will be more. The problems are compounded when the registers are buried deep within a data path. Since they are significantly more difficult to control and observe, the difficulty in controllability and observability will become increase. Okay, so that another method called scan design and boundary scan are used. Okay, we will see what is meant by scan design and boundary scan. Okay, scan design techniques address this problem. Okay, what is scan design? Scan design is a technique, okay, in which the registers, whatever the flip-flops we were described in the design, that will be modified, into a chain of shift register. Okay, whatever the register we used in our design, okay, that will be modified into a chain of registers, will which will function as a shift registers. Why? Because we need to test the circuit functionality. We need to test the circuit functionality. Okay, we'll see. Okay, scan design technique, it is nothing but the in which the registers are modified to allow them to be chained into a long shift register called a scan chain. Okay, which is as shown in the figure. Okay, we will see what is how to construct this uh, scan chain. Okay, we were mentioning scan design, now the term came as scan chain. Why it is called scan chain? Okay, we, what the first thing we started in design for test is testing the IC manufacture, testing the circuit functionality. Okay, instead of, so what we do, what we saw, we in fault detection, fault model, the fault model and fault simulation, we were adding additional circuitry to the system. Okay, we are adding additional circuit to the system. That circuitry will be producing a test patterns or test vectors and testing the circuit. Similarly, here we are identifying the fault in the registers. So we need to add additional circuitry to the registers such that the test such that that register will be tested whether the register will give the proper output or it is a fault. So for that reason we will be modifying the register. Okay, we'll be modifying the register into a into a fault detector circuit. Okay, in scan design technique we will modify the register into a chain of registers, a long chain of registers, which will result in a shift register. Okay, this chain of modification is called scan chain. Okay, here each of the register is called a scan registers, and since we are scanning means we are identifying the fault in the register, we are finding out the faults in the registers, and in order to find the faults the registers are modified into chain of registers, so the name scan chain. Okay, we will see how the flip-flop will be modified. Okay, so observe the flip-flop. Okay, so consider we have designed a D flip-flop. Okay, what a D flip-flop will be considered with D input, clock input, and key output. Okay, and we need to modify this circuit such that it it is converted as a scan. It is converted as per the scan design technique. So we can identify the faults in the within the register. Okay, first what we'll do. Okay, first we will have we'll have one input called scan in. Okay, we'll be having input called scan in, and we'll be having another input called mode. Okay, these two inputs are very much essential in order to modify the register. Okay, then we will not directly give the D input. Instead of that we will have some selection among the input. Okay, one direct input and one other input. Why? Because we need to ensure the whatever the input we are getting is correct or not. Okay, for that we'll use a multiplexer, and in that multiplexer one of the input will be data input, that is D input. Other input will be other input is some any one of the scan change register output. Okay, we will compare that and we will check when we'll try to find the fault. Okay, then we'll be having one input, we'll be having a input line called scan in. Okay, and we'll be having a clock signal and test mode. We'll be having clock signal and test mode. The test mode is nothing but a one in order to select the mode. Okay, whether whether we need to send the data in or whether we need to send the scanned input. Okay, we will be having a flip-flop is we'll modify the flip-flop into a scan chain flip-flop, where we'll be having a two inputs, two extra inputs, scan in and test mode. Okay, okay, and we will not directly give the data input, we will give the muxed output. Okay, we will give the data input to the multiplexer as one of the input, and other input of the multiplexer will be any one of the the um, modified register output. Okay, we will try to construct, because we need to construct a chain of registers to so that the circuit will be modified as a shift registers, and we can able to test the circuit functionality. Okay, so we will be having a chain of shift register, chain of same flip-flop. Okay, same flip-flop with additional inputs. Okay, where again the output of the first flip-flop will be given as the input of the next flip-flop, but through the output of mux. Okay, here you can see the output of the first flip-flop is given as input through the multiplexer. Okay, and this chain continues, this chain continues, this chain continues till the number of bits. Okay, if it is for some 6 count or 8 count, or then we can go for 3. If it is for 15 16, then we go for 4 flip-flops. Here you can set 3 flip-flops. Okay, again another one flip-flop, and we will giving the output of this one, and the same uh, and the output of the second flip-flop will be given as the input of the first multiplexer. You can see the first we are giving input of the first multiplexer. This is how we construct the register modified into scan chain register. Okay, in this we will be having a data input and also one scan input. These are the two inputs we will be using to test the register circuit. Okay, in here the complexity of the circuit is increased, but we are increased because to test the circuit whether it is a faulty circuit, faulty register, or correctly working register. Okay, we'll be modifying the register here in scan design technique. Okay, um, then how does this scan design technique works? Okay, this scan design technique works in such a way that it will generate the test vectors. Okay, test vectors means in combination of inputs. Okay, test vectors can be shifted into the registers in the chain. Okay, this is the scan input chain. Okay, under control of the test mode input, thus making the controllable. What was the drawback in um, fault using a fault model and a fault simulation in detect in register checking controllability? Now the controllability is made easy. Okay, with the help of having additional test mode input. With the help of test mode input, we will be passing the test vectors to the circuit. Okay, and so that we can achieve control over the testing of the register, and then stored values can be shifted out of the registers, thus making the observable. Okay, whatever the output we are getting, that value can be shifted out, can be recorded, so we are observing the output also. So with the help of modification of the registers through scan design technique, we can keep control, means monitor uh, the testing, and we can observe the outputs also, whether we are getting the correct output or wrong output. Those two which was difficult using fault model and fault simulation, now it is under control and observable. Okay, furthermore the chain of registers allows to control and observe the combination blocks between registers. We can test each combination block separately with this. Okay, this process consists of shifting test values into registers and the register chain until the test vector of each block reaches the input registers for that block. Okay, we will be passing the test vectors through from the first registers, and it will be passing to the next registers, means it is shifting the test values from the registers to registers, and we are comparing. Okay, you can see how we are comparing. We will be testing if the correct input is getting or wrong input. For that we will be having a two outputs. One is data output, another one is scanned output. Okay, we will be having two outputs from the final registers, that is data output and scan output. Okay, if okay, we will be giving two inputs, scanned input and data input. Okay, if the data is correct, we will be getting the data output. If the data is wrong, we'll be getting the scanned output. Okay, this is how we check the registers for faults using scan design technique. And we then run the system in its normal operation mode. After once the test vectors have been shifted from first registers to last registers, we'll run the system in a normal operation mode for one clock cycle, clocking the output of each block into the block's output registers. Okay, we will apply the test vectors to the external inputs also, and we'll observe whether the external inputs of the system is producing the proper output or not. Okay, we'll apply the test vector to the external inputs of the system, and we'll observe the external outputs of the system in order to test any combination input and output circuits. Finally, we shift the result values out through the register chain. Finally, we will be getting the data output. We will be getting the output, correct output, through the data out pin. Okay, the test equipment controlling the process compares the output values with the expected results to detect any faults. Okay, this sequence is repeated. This is a cyclic operation until all the input combinations, means until all the test vectors have been applied to the combinational blocks, or until any fault is detected. Okay, this form of design for test has a number of advantages and disadvantages. The advantages is one we saw we can achieve controllability and observability. Okay, The advantages are we can achieve increased controllability and observability. Okay, this scan chain makes achievement of high fault coverage. Whereas in the fault model and fault simulation, we saw the fault coverage for a small circuits. Before that, I will say fault coverage means, I will repeat again, fault coverage means recording means listing out all the fault values from the circuit. Okay, the for simpler circuits, fault model and fault simulation was fault coverage was good, whereas in fault models and fault simulation for larger circuits the fault coverage was not that much feasible. But here in this scan design technique, the fault coverage is very high. Okay, even for larger circuits also, this is also advantage. Okay, and next advantage is we can reduce the test generation problem to that of testing combination circuits. Okay, in combinational circuits, as the number of inputs increases, the combinations also will increase. Okay, but here that problem is reduced. Okay, which can largely be automated by ATPG tools to achieve 100% fault coverage. Next advantage is the modification of the registers, means the register which is modified with additional inputs, which it allows them to function as shift registers. Okay, allows them to function as a shift register so that the testing can be done easily, and also the testing is automated. Okay, and how the modification of the registers will function as a shift registers. Okay, will function as shift registers means how these registers allow them to function as a shift registers. Okay, how to modify we say that we are modifying the flip-flop to function as shift register. How to modify it, we'll see. The approach is first design and synthesize circuit. Normally means describe the circuit as it is. Okay, we'll describe the function of the D flip-flop as it is, always set of posits clock. Okay, if of D, okay, q less than equal to D, else q equals 0. This is the normal statements we will give. Okay, but while, okay, but how to modify this, there is a stage will come. Okay, the synthesis circuit will produce the D flip-flop only, but to test there is a stage. Okay, in one particular stage we will modify this D flip-flop into a scanned flip-flop. Okay, first the approach is first design and synthesize the circuit normally and generate a gate level circuit with flip-flops implementing the registers. Then at physical design stage, carefully listen, the circuit is the flip-flop is synthesized as D flip-flop only, but the modification takes place in physical design stage. At physical design stage, we will modify the D flip-flop, we will modify the flip-flop into a modified flip-flops that have a shift mode. Okay, that has a shift mode. Okay, whatever the D flip-flop we described in our hardware description language is synthesized as a D flip-flop only in functional design stage. But in physical design stage, in order to test the register circuit, we'll modify that register into a modified flip-flop and will form a chain of such registers. That registers will be having a shift input. Okay, these registers are connected in chain of registers, and the test vectors are shifted from one registers to other registers, so the circuit will function as a shift registers. Okay, the how the modified flip-flop will look like this. Okay, we can see in the figure there are two parts. One the block in the dark rectangular, you can see D flip-flop is there, D input, clock input, Q output, along with there is a CE. Okay, that C is nothing but a enable signal. Okay, and you can also observe there is a multiplexer. Okay, the D input is not directly given, the D input is obtaining from the output of the multiplexer, where one input of the multiplexer is T, other input is scan in. Okay, and the select line of the multiplexer is mode. Okay, this is exactly the similar what we saw in the scan chain. Okay, and control enable signal is there, CE, and also clock is there. This is the modified flip-flop. The original flip-flop was like this. The original flip-flop was like this. This was our original flip-flop. Okay, now the original flip-flop has been modified like this. Okay, having a is modified like this. Okay, this is the modified flip-flop. and connection of these such modified flip-flops in a chain will form as a scan chain. And next, this circuit is placed normally. Okay, finally, right now we are in a physical design stage. Here we have modified the D flip-flop into a modified flip-flop, so we'll having scan input and we'll be testing the register. Okay, and in the physical design stage, routing step is there. In routing steps, with the connections are made between adjacent flip-flops to form the shift register chain. This minimizes the routing overhead and interference with other signal wires. Okay, this is how we form a shift registers. Okay, chain. The DFT tools can compensate for the resulting placement dependent ordering of test vector input and output bits in the scan chain. Okay, and this is about the modification of the flip-flop into forming a shift registers. Okay, then we saw advantages also. Then um, we observed that single flip-flop is modified into a multiple multiple flip-flops, means the circuit area has increased, right? Single flip-flop has been increased in area now. This is a disadvantage. We shall see the disadvantage of this method also. Okay, the disadvantage is the circuit area is increased. Okay, and since we are shifting the test vectors, the input combinations from registers to registers, what is happening? Time is also increasing, means delay is also increasing. The main disadvantage of scan design is the overhead, both in circuit area and delay. Okay, overhead means over. Okay, the area increased, delay also increased here. Okay, the modified flip-flops have additional circuitry. Instead of one flip-flop, now we got multiple flip-flops, including an input multiplex. Also, it has input multiplexer to select between the normal input and the output of the previous flip-flop in the scan chain. Okay, why we are connecting a previous flip-flop output as input? Because to verify we are getting the correct output or not. Okay, this line, please listen carefully. We are connecting the output of the previous flip-flop as input to make sure whether we're getting the correct input or not. Okay, the area overhead for scan design has been estimated at between 2% and 10%. Whatever the area is increased, it increases between 2% to 10%. The input multiplexer imposes additional delay in the combinational path leading to the flip-flop input. Right, we are using multiplexers, right? Multiplexer is a combinational circuit, that is additional circuit. Okay, the propagation delay through that is also considered, so the delay is increased here. Okay, if the path is a critical timing path, performance of the whole system is affected. What is meant by critical timing path? Okay, if we are expecting that path means a connection between one end to other end. Okay, if that path is critical, means that path should be working within a estimated time. If that is violating the time, it may affect the further circuits also. That is why it is called critical timing path. It affects the whole system performance. Okay, these are the few disadvantages of the scan design technique. Another disadvantage of scan design is when it is compared to other DFT techniques. Okay, the scan chain is very long. We saw that for three flip-flop three modified flip-flop. Okay, the scan chain is very long. Okay, don't get confused about 3-4 input combinations. The chain is very long, that's it. Okay, in this we need to shift the vectors. That is a time consuming. Okay, shifting test vectors in and result vectors out takes a large fraction of testing time. So the system cannot be tested at full operational speed. Whatever the testing needs to be carried out, that the speed of the operation needs to be at a medium pace. Okay, we cannot run at a maximum speed. Okay, that overhead time can be reduced by dividing the scan chain into segments that can be shifted in parallel. Okay, however, each chain requires separate input and output pins, so we must compromise. I stress, we must compromise between test time overhead and test pin count overhead. What is happening here? In order to reduce the test time, we are increasing the pin counts. Okay, so will be increasing. Okay, this is also a disadvantage because scan chain is very long. Okay, this is about disadvantages. Then some issues will be there. Okay, the issues with respect to adding the hardware. Okay, we'll see issue to be considered in adding hardware. One issue is adding hardware is why we are adding to enhance the testability uh, of the to enhance the testability and finding the faults. Okay, one issue is to consider in adding hardware to enhance testability is the possibility of faults within the test hardware. Okay, we to find the faults within the registers, we are increasing the hardware components in the circuit. In the case of scan chains, faults could prevent the flip-flops from operating as shift registers correctly, and the wiring for the scan chain could be defective. This is saying if any fault occurs, okay, it may the whatever the modified flip-flops as shift registers will not work properly. Okay, fortunately, we can test the scan chain itself quite readily. Okay, we simply need to insert a sequence of zeros and ones into the chain and shift it through to the output of the chain. If we see the sequence unchanged at the expected time, we know the scan chain is defect free. Okay, whatever the input is given to the modified flip flop at the end of the output, we should get the same value. If it is not, okay, then it is a faulty register. If it is if there is no if it is correct, then it is not faulty. Okay, we can then proceed to test the internal circuits of the system. Okay, that is about scan design technique. The scan design technique is used to find the faults in the registers. Okay, where we modify the registers into a shift register, a chain of shift registers which will work as a shift registers. That is called scan chain because we are using additional input called scan input. Okay, that is about scan design technique. Then another testing technique is called boundary scan. We shall see what is boundary scan. Okay, a boundary scan is an extended version of the scan design technique. Okay, this is used to test the interconnections. This is used to test the interconnection between the chips. Okay, we use scan design technique to test the shift register, to test the registers whether it will give the right output or wrong output. But boundary scan is used to test the wiring connections between the IC and IC. Okay, whatever the ICs are there, we will be having a wiring connections between communication between them. That wiring connections to be tested, that testing of interconnection between the ICs on a PCB is done by boundary scan technique. Okay, in the boundary scan, the idea is to include scan chain flip-flops on the external pins of a chip, on the external pins of each chip. Please listen this one. In boundary scan technique, we will use scan chain flip-flops pins as the pins in each chip. Okay, the pins whatever in the ICs is not just a simple pins, they are scan chain flip-flops. Okay, to this and this is used, boundary scan is used to test the PCB, the test equipment which shifts a test vector into the scan chain. Okay, whatever the pins in the IC are not just a pins, they are scan chain flip-flops. Okay, how the boundary scan works. Boundary scan working when the chain is loaded, okay, means with the test vector is driven onto the external outputs of the chip. Okay, the scan chain flip-flops then sample the external inputs. Okay, and the sampled values are shifted out to the test equipment. The test equipment can then verify that all of the connections between the chips, including the chip bonding wires, package pins and PCB traces are intact. I'll repeat again working. Okay, when the chain is loaded, the test vector is driven onto the external outputs of the chips. Okay, the scan chain flip-flops then sample the external inputs and the sampled values are shifted out to the test equipment. The test equipment can then verify that all of the connections between the chips, including the chip bonding wires, package pins and PCB traces are intact. Various test vectors can be used to detect different kinds of faults, including the different kind of faults may be a broken connections, means there is no proper connection between part to part. Shorts, shorts short circuit at the power supply or at the ground, and there are bridge between the connections. Okay, uh, okay, this boundary scan working, and we saw what are the faults will be identify the boundary scan. Okay, the boundary scan came into existence after the JTAG. Before, earlier, JTAG was using to test the ICs. Okay, JTAG is nothing but Joint Test Action Group, which is it is one of the testing way of the manufactured ICs. Okay, the improvement of the JTAG is nothing but a boundary scan. JTAG follows the IEEE standard. Okay, and later the improvements of the JTAG, okay, with respect to IEEE standard, boundary scan came into existence. Okay, uh, the JTAG is a standard testing way to test the ICs. The JTAG has few signal connections, okay, which help in testing the ICs. Okay, the JTAG standard specifies that each component have a test access port, TAP. Okay, the test access port means it will be having a some um, connections between, it will having some way to establish connections between the IC and the JTAG hardware. Okay, the signals in the JTAGs are the signal lines in the JTAGs are test clock, TCK, test mode select input, TMS, test data input, TDI, test data output, TDO, test reset input, TRST. Okay, in most of the JTAG hardware, TRST is used as an optional one. Okay, a test clock provides the clock signal for the test logic. In JTAG, in the boundary scan, in this boundary scan method, all the ICs clocks are synchronous. Okay, test mode select input, it is used to control the testing operation. Okay, there are different modes: normal mode, capture mode, update mode. Okay, these are the different modes, but these we are not going to learn in depth about the JTAG, but we are just will look at the overview. Okay, and shift mode is also there. There are different modes uh, to in order to test the ICs according to the application. We'll use different modes. Okay, in order to select the mode and control the mode, TMS input is there, and TDI is test data input, which will accept the input and it will pass us the input within the IC's internal circuitry. Okay, it is a serial input for test data and instructions. Test data output is TDO, it is a serial output. Okay, test reset input, this is an optional, it is not widely used in practice. Okay, we will use a automatic test equipment. Okay, we will use a automatic test equipment which is connected to the test access ports. Okay, which is connected to the test access ports of the PCB. Okay, on a PCB we will place the ICs, we will place the different ICs, and those different ICs will communicate each other, and a wiring connection will be established. Okay, those wiring connections needs to be tested whether they are proper or not. Okay, for that we will use this boundary scan method. Okay, this figure shows a typical connection of automatic test equipment, ATE, to the test access ports of the components on a PCB. You can see there's a ATE on the left side of the figure. ATE is there, that is connected to the test access ports. Okay, the ports are TCK, TMS, TDA, TDO. Okay, this that ATE, the test that you can consider as a IC, that is connected to the boundaries JTAG hardware part. Okay, whatever is seeing this one, whatever is seeing this one, this part is the test equipment. This can be an integrated circuit. Okay, these parts, what you are seeing, these parts are nothing but your JTAG hardware. JTAG hardware. Okay, there will be a port, through that ports these are connected. Okay, next we will see the IC of a JTAG. Okay, architecture of a JTAG IC. This is the architecture of a JTAG JTAG IC. Okay, architecture of a component with JTAG boundary scan. The component is nothing but the IC. Whatever the IC will be, whatever the ICs on a JTAG boundary scan hardware, that look is this one. Okay, here the you can see these are these are the boundary scan cells. These are boundary scan cells. Whatever you can whatever you're seeing in the rectangle with arrow, these are the boundary scan cells. What the box shape, the into marks with in the rectangles are called pins. These are the input pins, these are the output pins, and there are tri-state output and bidirectional output. Okay, this is an IC of JTAG hardware. Okay, and you can see, to make sure the functionality of the JTAG, okay, um, with some controllability, there are few registers. Those registers are bypass register, design specific registers. Okay, there will be different registers to function this IC. Okay, and you can see there are the input, the ports, the signal lines. Okay, TDI, TMS, TCK, and TDO. And you can see, you can visualize, TRST is not there, that is optional with respect to application. Okay, and there is instruction decoder and instruction registers and a TAP controller. Okay, the TAP controller is there. You can see TMS is connected to the TAP controller, and clock is also connected to the TAP controller, and TDI, test data input and test data output, okay, are functioning with respect to instruction registers. Okay, this is the architecture of the component with respect to JTAG boundary scan. Okay, this one, okay, the small is called the boundary scan cell. Boundary scan cell is nothing but a scan chain flip-flop. We will see the internal structure of this one. Okay, this is the internal structure of the boundary scan cell. We can see there are few flip-flops, okay, and few muxes. The and you can see the input to the flip-flop is getting through the multiplexer. Okay, the multiplexer has data input and scan input, and you can see the outputs are scan out and data out. This is nothing but exactly it look like our scan chain scan modified flip-flop, right? That modified flip-flop, this is the enhancement of the scan design technique. Okay, this scan flip-flop is used as a pin in the boundary scan technique, the IC which are using the boundary scan technique. Okay, the pin may be a input pin or output pin. Okay, and you can see there are two registers. One is capture register and update register. Okay, this capture register and update registers will work depending upon the operation modes. Okay, the tap controller governs operation of the test logic. There are a number of registers for test data and instructions, and a chain of boundary scan cells inserted between external pins and component core. You can see chain of boundary scan cells. Okay, this is a scan chain cell, scan chain flip-flop. Okay, scan flip-flop. Such flip-flops will be used. Okay, you see here, each one you can see this one, all these are scan flip-flops. Okay, scan flip-flop. The scan flips are acting as input pins and output pins, also different outputs. Okay, this each one is a scan flip-flop. This is a scan flip-flop. Okay, depending upon the control inputs to the cell, okay, data can flow straight through, or input data can be captured, output data can be driven, and test data can be shifted through. Okay, input and output pins of the components each require just one cell. Okay, tri-state outputs and bidirectional pins are there. Why it is there, and how many cells they require? Tri-state output pins require two cells. Okay, one cell to control and observe the data. Okay, and one cell to control and observe the data means input. Okay, and the other cell to control and observe the output. Okay, In tri-state output pins, we require two cells, one to control and observe the data and one cell to control and observe the output enable. Okay, and in bidirectional pins we require three cells. Okay, we require three cells because they are nothing but a combination of tri-state output and end input. You can see bidirectional bidirectional out pins is nothing but a combination of tri-state output and input. Okay, this is about boundary scan boundary scan um, way of testing the ICs. Okay, and how this boundary scan works, the boundary scan is nothing but a hardware interface. Okay, that in order to work that we require some programming language. That programming language is for boundary scan is boundary scan description language. Okay, boundary scan, that we require a language to run the JTAG, that is nothing but boundary scan JTAG hardware boundary scan description language. This boundary scan description language is a subset of VHDL. Okay, okay, this boundary scan description language is used to specify the pins, to specify the registers, to give the instructions to the test logic. Okay, this BSDL will come with the hardware JTAG or it can be downloaded from the company website. In order to run that JTAG hardware, we require this BSDL software program. Okay, we can use a BSDL description of a component together with a set of test vectors as input to ATE for testing the component and the board in which it is embedded. Okay, while the boundary scan technique is originated as a means of testing connections between components and a board, this means to test the interconnection between the ICs. Okay, the JTAG boundary scan cells have been designed to allow testing of the component core also. Okay, we stated that boundary scan is used to check the interconnection, verify the interconnection between the ICs, but the scan cells inside the JTAG will also verify the component component core also. The cells can be configured to isolate the component's core inputs from the package input pins. Okay, test data can be shifted into the cells as inputs and then driven onto the course inputs. The course output can be sampled into the cells at the output pins and then shifted out to the ATE. Thus, the JTAG architecture solves two problems. What? In circuit testing of components in a system and in circuit testing of the connections between the components. Okay, using JTAG, we can perform we can achieve two improvements. One, test in circuit testing of the components. Okay, testing of the ICs, and also we can also test in circuit connection between the components. Okay, the wiring connection between the components. With the help of JTAG architecture, we can perform testing of the components and also connection between the components. This flexibility has led to the widespread use of the standard JTAG. Okay, the EDA tools also supports this type of testing at various stages of the design flow. Okay, the JTAG standard has been extended to support in-circuit programming of ROMs. The application of the testing of JTAG it can be used to test the in-circuit programming of ROMs, memory cells, and also in configuration of the PLDs, including FPGAs. This is about boundary scan. Okay, we'll try to look at the working way of the boundary scan. Okay, we'll take another okay, consider a PCB. Okay, this is the JTAG based boundary scanning for hardware testing. Okay, we were just listening to theory, but we'll visualize the picture. Consider a PCB. Okay, in this PCB different ICs will be placed. Okay, the ICs will be having a TDI pin, TDO pin, and other pins. Okay, we'll consider few ICs and how the this boundary scan will work. Okay, and we'll be having a clock signal. Okay, we'll be having a clock signal. Okay, and we'll be having different pins and LED frames. Okay, these are the IC. We took a PCB and we got IC components. Okay, and in that IC components we placed boundary scan cells. Okay, and we also mentioned TDI, TDO, and TCO clock, and we will have test access port now. Okay, we'll take a test access port. This port is used to having to establish connection to the external physical device. That physical device may be an IC also. Okay, okay, this is a test access port, TDI pin, clock pin, test clock, test data input, test port, it means TMS, test mode select and test reset pins, and this is TDO output. Okay, we'll try to see the connections, and from that connections we'll try to see the working flow of this one. Okay, first these are the boundary scan cells. Okay, first we will connect the clocks. Okay, we'll connect the clocks of each ICs. Okay, you can see all the clocks are synchronous. Next we will try to get the input from the external device. Okay, through the TDI input we are getting the input from the external device, that is given to the TDI input of the first IC. That IC is giving uh, output to the TDO. This TDO is connected as input to the second IC. Okay, output of TDI IC1 is going to the input of IC2 TDI. Then output of second IC TDO is going input to the third IC TDI. Then TD input. Then finally the test data output TDO from third IC is going to the test access port test data output. From this we are going to give the give the output to the IC, and we are verifying the IC. Okay, these are called boundary scan paths. Okay, we shall see. This is the boundary scan cell internal view we saw. Okay, you can see the whatever uh, the core component of the IC is there, and the boundaries, the scan cells are there, the internal view of the scan cell. This is the overview, a combination of all the boundary scan cell and JTAG component. Okay, and this concludes design for test second method, scan design and boundary scan. And another method is there, built-in self test. We will cover in the next class. Okay, thank you all.